last year, I won't tell the whole story, but last year I was in Pakistan in K2, which is the second tallest mountain in the world, attempting to climb the second tallest mountain in the world in winter, something that at the time no one had ever done. And I lost 5 friends. I mean, that was terrible because I was right there with them. Just this past week, I've lost a couple friends in the mountains. Not that I wasn't there with them, but they were over in Nepal climbing in 2 separate accidents. And so it's very present, and it's heartbreaking, and I live with the sadness of that every single day. And there's parts of me that, of course, make me think, oh, am I being too risky or not risky enough? And kind of that balance. And that's when I get back to that question for myself, which is, I could wrap myself in bubble wrap and sit inside my house and watch Netflix all day. But on the other side, I'm not trying to be overtly risky. The things that I do have a calculated risk. The reason that I lived on K2 and where other people died is I actually turned around. I turned around in a moment.
What does that mean? I turned around.
We were climbing, pushing towards the summit, and they kept going for the summit, and I said, I'm going to turn back. There was something about me.
Summit, the top.
Yeah. And I turned around before the summit.
And y'all are climbing?
I'm climbing, yeah. Second tallest mountain in the world. So it's a hard question to answer and something that I ponder a lot.
Wait, no, slow down. You turned around, your experience and your gut tells you.
Mostly my gut. I mean, I was climbing with some of the best guys in the world, truly, truly world-class guys that I, really look up for, and they were like, we're going. And I was like, something inside me is telling me to turn around.
But what did you see? What did you see in that moment that they didn't see?
It's,
like, I don't know what you see when you go on, when you
I mean,
go on this mission.
The details are, there's a lot of details to the context of that, but I think the most important part is not even that context. The most important part was truly a gut feeling. So I mean, I've mentioned this dynamic that I have with my wife, and you said she might throw in the towel. So a different expedition, I'm on Everest in 2016. Weather's been super bad. Storms have been rolling in. The weather forecast is not looking great, and people die on Everest. You literally walk across dead bodies when you climb Mount Everest. And I called her. This is my childhood dream. I'm one day from the summit. I'm the last summit push. I realized the weather is going to be inconsistent. And I called her and I said, I'm afraid. I think people might die out here tonight. And she says to me, she easily, like you said, a lot of wives would be like, cool, come down, come home. Mm-hmm. She goes, people are going to summit Mount Everest tonight, and there's no reason you can't be one of them. Face your fears. I know you can do it. And so in that moment, her encouragement got me out of my tent, and 12 hours later, or whatever it was, I climbed through the night and I reached the summit of Everest. Now, I bring that up because in this moment in K2, I'm at 24,000 feet in the middle of a winter, about to make this historic ascent of this it's known as one of the most dangerous mountains in the world as well. We're through a really complex section, and it's the last push for the summit. It's going to be a big push through the night. Similar set of circumstances. There's some things happening, swirling around me. Things aren't going perfectly well, but I call home. And I say to her, I don't know what to do. These guys are going, best guys in the world, people I admire, look up to, we're climbing together. And she says to me this time, she goes, I've got no read on this, Colin. I know I've been your eyes and ears on the ground. I've told you to go. I've told you when to pull back. She goes, I can't tell. You got to trust your gut. You got to go inside yourself and make that decision. So I'm in this tent. I'm in the fetal position inside this tent, smashed together in Pakistan, 24,000 feet in the middle of winter, tiny, icy precipice. I go inside. I close my eyes, kind of go into a deep meditation, start listening to my breath, close my eyes. I'm listening to my gut, and my gut just says, don't go. Don't go. And I open my eyes, and I say to the other guys, I said, I'm not going. We're in this tent. They're getting ready to go. I said, I'm not going. They're like, what are you talking about? You're not going. I was actually the first person to arrive to that last camp. I was climbing the best I've ever climbed. Like, what are you talking about? You're not going. They're like, why? And I said, I just had a gut feeling. I need to turn around. And they thought I was crazy. They were like, and then I did my ego check. That's the most important thing. Like, I'm the guy, like telling you all these stories where, like, I persevered, I pushed through, and it was so hard. I got to do my ego check now. I go, I'm not rooting against my friends here. I want them to make the summit. But I got to check my ego going, okay, so they make it to the summit. We're back down in base camp a couple days later. There's global headlines. These guys made it to the summit, and Colin O'Brady didn't have the right stuff on that day. How am I going to feel? So I lived that out inside my presence in that moment. How are you going to feel? And I was at peace. I was truly at peace. And so I hugged them and I said, go make it to the summit. If you guys feel good about it, I'm turning around. And I unfortunately never saw them ever again.
You think there was any talking them out of it?
It wasn't for them to be talked out of. That's the thing that is the part that I'm at peace was. It wasn't like I was seeing something and I was like, you guys are walking into a death trap. Stop. It's crazy. It was
but
just
still, the guy on Final Destination, when he was getting off the plane saying, hey, everybody, it's going down. Get off the plane. Nobody saw anything, but still, you want to just...
Climbing's an interesting thing like that. But when you're at parity, when you're climbing with the best guys in the world, there's sort of this understanding of like we all have different risk tolerances. We all might feel different on different days. You know, it's there's a level of respect and trust at that highest level of high performance that's like, yo, if you feel like going for it today, that's your call. And just like they said, why would you turn around? But they also were like, that's your call. You know, we respect that. And for me, in this instance, it did happen to save my life. I really wish we had been celebrating their success and me not having the right stuff on that day. That would have been a much better outcome. But our gut, man, our intuition, it's so strong.
Man, damn it, man. Is there a survivor's guilt that comes with what you do?
Yeah, I mean, look, like, it's a risk that we all take, and I've actually done some deep work, some therapy, some really, deep work to look into that moment, to revisit that tent and that trauma and the sadness of that moment. And I haven't lived so much with the trauma of that, but one thing that I helped to learn in that process of working, doing the inner work afterwards to integrate and, heal from that experience was that there's a big difference between trauma and grief. And I feel immense grief, man. Every day I feel sad. I did climb Everest a few months after that expedition. I brought the flags of each one of my friends up to the summit to honor them. But I think I'll live with that forever. And I don't know if that's survivor's guilt, but there's definitely sadness and grief there for sure.
Now, there's stats, right? As you go about these things. So K2, 1 out of every 5 people died that attempted.
Yeah.
Is there not a meeting or something that takes, or a conversation that takes place before you guys go up? Like, listen, one of us, the studies show, probably will not make it back here.
I mean, there's something where I don't want to say you're trying to deny that, right? You're not trying to deny that because we're all aware of that. I think there's a little bit of a feeling of, I hope it's on me this time. But I will say, that's the normal stats. And those stats are correct in summer, but we were trying to climb in winter. So in winter, it's exponentially more challenging, exponentially more dangerous. So the stat, not that many people have done it, so that there's not actually full stats on that, but the stats would presumably be even higher than that. And I remember when we arrived at base camp and there was a bunch of different teams, from different from around the world. My climbing partner, an American guy, he had turned around earlier, and several other teams. We were all sharing a base camp together. I remember thinking that exact thought. It's a very logical thought. I was like, I don't know if we're all going to make it back from this. Just because my mind is also very logical, very rational. And it's like, you hope you're wrong. But in this case, the odds were not on our side.